This week on Across the Arrowverse, Supergirl found religion, The Flash introduced a member of the Justice League, the Legends lent into the Stranger Things 80s aesthetic, and on Arrow, Overwatch should be renamed Oliverwatch. Oliverwatch. You get it, right? Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Matthew Vose, and I'm joined by Catherine Kay.
Hi everybody.
This week we're going to be discussing the episodes Supergirl, The Faithful, The Flash, Elongated Journey into the Night, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Phone Home, and Arrow, Reversal. Particularly strong episodes through all four, I think, much improved over the beginning of the series, so
yeah.
I think basically we worked through them in sequence, so... Supergirl, we had a lot of Martian religion last week. This week, Kryptonian and a bit of Earth religion.
Yes, indeed. I thought it was a very interesting plot line to go with Supergirl. Quite original. It's not a plot line I think I've seen before, and I thought it was quite a thoughtful plot line. I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it was. I was pleased they very quickly got there that this was some Kryptonian thing, because he gives her, or she's given the leaflet at the very beginning. And suddenly it's, oh look, it's the Superman shield shape on this leaflet. Hey, that's going to have something to do with Krypton.
Yes, I too. I quite like the fact that they don't labour the point.
No.
And that's something actually that we've seen earlier in the series, like the very first episode where it was like, oh God, Supergirl's going to be sulky, and they just dealt with it.
Yeah.
I'm liking that trait in the Supergirl plotting.
Yes. I like the twist that this became the cult of Supergirl.
Yes.
And I liked that they had that rite of passage was being saved by Supergirl. That's quite a nice and almost believable twist in what might happen in this universe.
Yeah, very much so. And the whole sort of inspiration versus worship, religion versus obsession, and you know that twist that they were actually deliberately putting themselves in danger to force the acceptance into the religion, whereas the religion itself, or I shouldn't really call it a religion, the cult itself had formed from people who had naturally been saved by Supergirl.
Yes.
It was sort of
incidental.
It was it's like a self-help group gone badly wrong, basically.
Yeah,
but yeah, interesting.
As an A plot goes, I don't think there's a huge amount to say on it. It's like we've seen in a number of other these other series where there is something that's possibly good, possibly not good, and then it becomes bad, and then they stop it.
Yes, like that A plot is really just a frame for which they want to hang the different character pieces in the episode on.
The message of the week.
Yeah.
The B plot, Sam and her child and Alex wanting kids is quite good. We've said we'd be interested to see how that develops. The introduction of Sam as a more fully fledged character is getting interesting, and I liked the stinger with her at the end, because they showed us a bit that the ship had been slightly more released than we'd seen in that first episode, where she demonstrated some powers, and now they had writing all over them.
Yes.
She had writing all over her, and then Witchy Woman appears next to her and says, "You will reign."
Yeah, I thought that the twist at the end with Sam, fascinating. It does what a cliffhanger's supposed to do. I really want to watch and see what comes of that. Whereas some of the cliffhangers, you're just like, meh, you know it's just going to be cleared up in 2 seconds. But that holds good portent for the future. And the Alex plot with the children, thank God that's now finally coming to a head, because Alex was irritating me last week in it, whereas this week, at last week's episode, this whole the children thing, Alex was feeling quite immature on the topic.
Yeah.
But perhaps that was just an indication of how much it is top of her mind, because I think this week it's actually starting to sink in properly what that means. And
she's probably admitted it to herself.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
And it will be interesting to see what happens with Maggie.
Oh, she's leaving.
I suspect she's her role is going to change at the very least.
Well, you said it last week. There's not much more they can do with her character. They've kind of wrung all the storytelling juice out of it. So I don't know if she's just leaving, as in they'll split up and she'll move to a different city, possibly to cameo again in the future.
Yeah.
Or if they will use her as a sacrificial lamb for an exciting plot next week.
I suspect they won't, only because there's the trope of kill your gays.
Yes.
Where people in gay relationships often at least one of them ends up killed because it's an easy way to drive that tension and that emotional plotting, but also not put off the non-progressive elements who don't want to watch it on their TV.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I would be surprised.
There was a big worry that they were going to do that last season with both Alex and Maggie at points, and then they didn't do it, and there was such a thing about it. So I suspect that knowing it's a thing and having been talked about on this show or surrounding this show, that they just can't now. It would be ridiculous.
And they are quite a socially aware show.
Yes, absolutely.
So no, I don't think they'll do that.
I liked the plotting on the big bomb at the end. They compared it to Voyager, about how it had things from Earth being sent out into the cosmos, and that this shit bomb thing was one of those. And so, of course, it's got soil on it.
Yes.
Which becomes kryptonite.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
That was quite nice. Now, kryptonite, I thought, was rock and soil from Krypton that had been exposed to the destruction of Krypton. But maybe it is also radioactive rock from inside the planet. Who knows?
No, it was, really good.
Any thoughts on them using Hallelujah at the end of the religion episode?
It's a nice song. Little obvious, but nice song.
Yeah. Not too bad. I liked we saw John's dad.
Yes.
So we brought back in that idea of the Martian religion. So quite nice just to have seen a bit of a link there. Yeah, that's good. So The Flash. We had a couple of good introductions this week. Particularly, right at the beginning, Danny Trejo appears as Gypsy's dad. And that made me very happy.
He was awesome. I want him
very good.
back. I hope that's not necessarily as regular a cameo as Gypsy, because that would be a bit weird. But I do hope that is a repeated visit.
Yeah. He feels a little bit like stunt casting. Because he's a very famous face. So we'll see. Yeah. It would be nice to see him again. The intro was very heavy on the exposition about the bus and explaining it to people who already knew it, which, okay, they're expecting people still to be coming into the episode, and perhaps people who are aware of the stunt casting coming in.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe I don't know what promotion they're doing in the States, but it does feel like a point where people who are not necessarily as familiar with the backstory could come in and join and just carry on with the future, because we're not still harping on about Barry Allen's mum dying. You know, like they sort of almost drawn a bit of a clean line with the past.
Yeah. And
this is a reset and a carry on with a brand new story. So perhaps that's what some of that was about.
Nice. A very hopeful thing that people are coming into it now and they're not going to be doing.
And why wouldn't they? Yeah. It's so fun!
Yes. Yeah, and it was fun all the way through. It was filled with references. I've got notes here of a Princess Bride reference. I think they say, have fun storming the castle. I've got a Die Hard reference when he says, now I have a hologram too. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
So we've had that for a couple of weeks in a row. We had that great B plot with Gypsy and her dad.
Yeah.
Which was very nicely done. And then we had the introduction of Ralph Dibny.
Yeah.
Who very quickly, no, he's not going to be a villain, and we're going to work out his power straight away.
Yes. Yes, really appreciated that. Initially, I was thinking, Dibny, you're not as good as Malfoy. Bring back Malfoy from the UK. But he grew on me. I think he will be a good addition to the cast. I think a slightly different character, a very different skill. Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? This is the sort of thing we've not done before. And Flash is a very CG heavy show. So it's the show that can do it. And I suspect that it's sucking all the CG juice out of the other shows that develop together. So Possibly. Given how little we saw of the Dominators in Legends.
Yes, I'll take that.
Ralph Dibny. is an eventual member of the Justice League in the DC canon. He is particularly known with his partner, Sue Dibney.
Okay.
Who becomes a member of the League as well. And they are the archetype for the happily married superhero couple.
Oh.
So where you might have the Green Arrow and Black Canary, on-off again, feisty, are they, aren't they? You have the Flash and Iris, who are never content and things always going on about them because he's a major character in this thing. Superman and Lois Lane. There are no happy couples in DC and in superheroes in general. Except for the Dibneys, who are very happily married and are always held up as they are people who can make it work.
Do you think we'll see a Mrs. Dibney in this?
Well, I was amazed they didn't.
Right.
Because he's so well known for her. Almost the resolution of that story is Identity Crisis.
Right.
So the Crisis books are always significant books in DC Comics. Identity Crisis is the best comic book I have ever read.
Right.
It's the one where it features family members of the Justice League being killed by an unknown personal persons, and Sue Dibney is the first one who dies.
Oh.
And do you remember it ends with him going to bed but still talking to her as though she were with her?
Yes, I remember.
And it's the one that features Tim Drake's dad.
That was so hard. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I know him from. That's what immediately came to mind. Like, oh, okay.
Yes.
So I was almost amazed at the end there wasn't a line of, or somewhere in there, you'll have to speak to the mayor's secretary, Sue.
Yeah.
And just something, just one offhand comment, but they resisted the temptation.
Okay.
So
interesting. Just rolling on from that, one of the other things they're doing really well in this, relationships.
Yes.
And interactions between people.
Yes.
Like Wells and Cisco, they're so fun together. They work so nicely together as well. It's not sort of, hey, banter just for laughs. There's just something nice about the way that they interact together. It's funny, but there's a lot of heart in there as well.
Gypsy and Cisco are a really good relationship because they seem to just care for each other and have fun together. We're not necessarily getting too serious yet, but they're enjoying that.
No, really, really nice. Really nice.
Her dad very clearly cared for her.
Yeah.
The pet, like you say, the pep talk from HR to Cisco was really well done. Joe was pleased about the pregnancy with Cecile. Eventually, and he doesn't invite her to share in their celebrations. That was really strange that she wasn't there.
Bit odd.
Really strange.
Bit of a budget decision by.
Well, possibly so.
Who knows? But yeah, overall, very, very good. And also had some quite interesting introspection. I think on being like Flash being justice and jury in certain cases, and his shifting moral code. Except it's not really a shifting moral code; it's his shifting perception of whether the rules and his moral code are necessarily for exactly the same anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so because I think his moral code is still there, he's still heading in exactly the same direction. It's just that the by-the-book approach does not necessarily always provide the right framework for him anymore, and he is more comfortable with himself as judge and jury, potentially, which may lead to something quite difficult later in the season, perhaps.
Yes, hopefully so. And given that we've seen the bus metters being locked up in Jubal Early's prison, it'll be interesting that they're now not in his complex anymore.
Yes.
So what does that mean? Someone else has control of them? Someone else is looking after them? Is that going to be, in the same way Arrow is dealing with the real world coming into the superhero world, people questioning, hey, what is the Flash doing with these people he captures? Maybe.
Because actually, it's not exactly humane.
It's not.
I mean, if I'd be a bit more comfortable with it if they were sort of frozen, so they didn't know that they were locked up. But
Minority Report style.
But actually, just kind of going, hey, we've got this really tiny room.
Yeah.
Don't appear to have any toilet facilities or much food going on, but you can sit in this really tiny room for a very long time with no entertainment.
Yeah. Bit weird. So we'll see. When we talk about the Flash, I would like to start paying attention to Cisco's t-shirts.
Yes.
We mention it every week, but we don't mention it on the podcast. He had that great haiku one. He's had a couple of sort of Big Bang Theory style ones. This week he had hashtag Octothorpe, which is another word for a hashtag.
Yeah.
Which is very nice. But I also want to track it because Gypsy was wearing one of his t-shirts in the bedroom scene. She had one that had 2 otter astronauts and said Otter Space.
Nice.
I like it a lot. I'm going to call something out here because we're going to reference it a little bit when we get to Arrow. There was a moment where someone was doing something very techie and someone else said, can you say that in English, please? Which I hate. I think for the most part, characters do actually know what's going on. People are a lot more savvy with this stuff than I think writers give them credit for. And as someone who works in a techie field, I know when I'm speaking to someone who doesn't necessarily know some of the language I would use. So I change the language, because that's what you do as a human person.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they all almost want to both have the techno speak, but also don't trust their audience to understand. Because I don't see it as the characters not trusting each other to understand. I see it as the writers feeling that they have to spoon-feed their audience. Yeah,
we have to show this character is clever and we're clever to come up with it, but also dumb it down and explain it.
Yeah.
So,
little irritating.
Yeah. Okay, on to... No, actually, let's just pick up at the end. Couple of moments at the end of Flash. One, the reference to what can he be called, maybe Plastic Man.
Yeah.
And Plastic Man is another significant hero in the DC universe who has basically that same power. So he can't be called that because this is clearly a very different character. He will be Elongated Man.
Nice. That's a really... When I say nice... It's not nice.
That's a very bad name.
Rubbish name. Rubbish name.
And then we had the reference to DeVoe.
Yes. Who's DeVoe?
Well, I think the guy in the chair with all the cables into his head, the super smart dude. But nice that they've dropped in references to him before. It's the sort of thing they can just do. Because they know eventually, if they get enough seasons, they will have that character in there.
Yeah.
So why not just reference the larger world and eventually have it in there?
Yeah.
Like we had previously. Why not reference Bruce Wayne? You might not necessarily have him in your show, but if you run for 10 seasons, at some point you might have a visit from Bruce Wayne.
It also gives a nice indication that sort of Marvel Universe style-y, they had some long-term plotting in place, like to possibly bring him in at some point right from the beginning to be able to slip him in that way. Perhaps that's a task that the writers' room had been set for those previous seasons.
Maybe, yeah.
With a thought of, one day we're going to use this character, so at least once a season you've got to slip him into conversation.
Yeah. On to Legends. As I said at the beginning, very 1980s. I think the resurgence of Stranger Things, the new It being set in the 80s, will have helped and possibly even timed this episode to have come out with Stranger Things 2.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, the episode's called Phone Home, so it's very much channeling the E.T. all the way through. But the fact that, like, the stinger on the last one was him in a water drainer.
Yeah, I thought that was possibly a little heavy-handed. But, overall, I thought it was a fun romp. Yeah.
Surprisingly, at least more than half of the episode landed quite well.
Yes, yeah. I of this season, I enjoyed that significantly more than the previous 3 episodes.
Yeah, I'd agree. The B plot with Stein.
Yes.
And them stealing the Wave Rider, all very poor because we all knew that's what he was doing, that he wasn't ratting them out. It was a weird sequence to keep. It was your forced conflict that doesn't make any sense because they shouldn't be keeping secrets.
No sense whatsoever.
And then time travel used very, very, very poorly.
Yeah, come on. You've watched Doctor Who, haven't you? We know how to do time travel. Yeah. Just go do the thing and then get back on time.
Yeah.
Or do your adventure and then go to the baby on time.
Yeah. These two things are not happening concurrently.
Yeah, because they've shown that they can be precise in their timing because they went straight to where they needed to be for the baby's birth.
Yeah.
So we've not even got the excuse of, they can't really be precise with their timing. So yeah, that was a bit of a fudge in the storytelling that didn't land for us time travel aficionados.
Well, no, and they even had a DeLorean in this episode, so again, leaning into the 80s aesthetic.
Yeah.
Back to the Future uses that exact time travel. as soon as something's happened to do with time travel, the next thing happens. Someone appears after them and says, "Oh, we were expecting you to be here."
I also thought the disappearance and then the convenient reappearance of Ray was also fudging that particular time travel trope. It's like, okay, so he disappeared, but now that we've decided to take action to try and bring him back, he's reappeared.
Yeah.
It's like, well, but you haven't actually taken the action yet.
But they time travelled to a time before he was killed.
But after he'd already disappeared in their timeline.
Yes.
Although, what I would say is that, just sticking on Ray, moving away from time travel.
Plot C, yep.
Geeky Ray.
Yep.
Kind of adorable.
Yeah.
Really nice. Really enjoyed the Ray adorably sticking by the rules on everything and just being really straight down the line and just... Yeah, no, Ray that was a good character. I mean, it moved him ever further away from the character he played in Arrow. That was a completely different person almost. Yeah. But I liked it.
Like most of the characters in this show, they've dumbed him down somewhat. And he was supposed to be a great inventor and corporate leader.
Yes.
He has none of that. And the corporate thing they leaned into was, let's do icebreakers and trust falls. Come on.
It did make me laugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, we've been there a lot. So. Yeah. Yeah, I liked the plot with him seeing a bit more of his past and getting to know Zari and that sort of the character C plot almost.
Yeah.
The A plot with the Dominator was well done.
Yeah.
Was fairly believable in inverted commas. I found it interesting in the opening narrative they had the Dominators in that We're the Legends opening bit. And I was like, oh, that's strange, that's not been in there before. Useful just to remind us that they exist and what they look like. Yes. Yeah, very nice.
I like the Baby Dominator.
Baby Dominator was very cute.
Can that add to our legend zoo? Baby Sabretooth and Baby Dominator.
Absolutely. We can keep them in cages with no toilets and no entertainment. And...
No, they can play.
They're not metahumans.
It won't be a zoo.
I wondered if that was going to become something. So maybe, are we going to see the Dominators again? But now the lead Dominator is going to remember Ray and going to like Ray, and it's going to bring peace with the Dominators?
Are the Dominators just misunderstood?
Maybe. But because they forged that relationship, when we come back to 30 years in the future, is that Dominator now in charge and now it's going to help us bring them together?
Are we going to see the adult Dominators doing the dance scene from Singing in the Rain?
Possibly so. That would be very nice. Good. I would like that.
Yeah. Nate's grim. Can we get rid of Nate and his absolute lechiness?
Yeah. It's just not necessary. And I think the show wanted to call it out, but then couldn't.
Yeah.
Because it wanted to do the joke with him and the Dominator Queen.
Yeah, and it's horrible. Like, telling Ray his mum is hot.
Yeah.
With his ex-girlfriend. Well, A, saying it full stop, but B, with his ex-girlfriend, current, whatever, next to him. Then that crack about there being cougars in the house whilst he was latching over Ray's mum. And just awful.
Yeah.
And but I mean, it was slightly redeemed. Well, no, it wasn't slightly redeemed. What was the scene itself where the Dominator was pretending to be Ray's mum? I thought that was horrendous. I mean, literally, my notes for that goes awful, awful! Exclamation marks when I thought that was Nate and Ray's mum.
Yeah,
I was like, what is this show doing? That scene was redeemed by actually turning out to be the Dominator.
Yeah.
And I guess what they'd been trying to do earlier was to position Nate's character as someone who would get himself into that position.
Yeah.
But every episode I like him less.
To have gone in there with his whole, oh, hi, I wrestled a bear, and then when she starts coming on to him for him to not want to, it's like, okay, all mouth and no trousers. So, get out. The big redeeming thing of that for me is Amaya walks in and says, get away from her, you bitch. Which leans into the 80s aesthetic because that's Ripley at the end of Aliens.
Nice.
Yeah, we could get rid of Nate.
When did he become such a meathead?
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be some kind of professor of ancient history, wasn't he, right at the very start?
Yeah.
And now it's like he's some kind of American football playing lecherous jock who's never had any etiquette training. He's awful.
Nah.
Blech.
Ray's mum, played by Susie Abramite, who is Pam from Jessica Jones. You remember her friend wwho took all the self-defense classes?
Oh, the TV personality.
Yes, radio personality.
Radio personality.
Yeah.
Gosh, I did not recognise her.
So another good Marvel DC crossover.
Yeah.
And the Dominator Queen, played by Cissy Jones, who is a major video game voice person.
Wow.
Halo, Batman, Lego Dimensions, XCOM 2, Destiny 2, Dishonored 2.
Gosh, she really is, isn't she? Yeah. Amazing.
I'm going to continue on the thread of abhorrent meathead behaviour, because we moved to Arrow, and there was a moment where Renee comments on the dead girl and says, hey, did Black Siren make out with her as well?
Yeah.
And everyone looks at him and makes a comment about it. And it's absolutely said to be, no, this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So they didn't need it in the first place, but then to have had it in there, you then call it out. Perfect. Do that thing.
Yes.
The rest of the episode, though, good.
Yeah. Change
of looks, change of roles, change of dynamics and relationships.
I liked it. I say that in a small voice.
We said we were going to track Oliver as a leader and Felicity, whatever she does. So Felicity, this was a Felicity episode, which was good.
Yeah,
this was a good way to start it. He even said to her, I'm excited about the thing you're doing with Curtis.
Yeah.
Which aren't we all?
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And it was nice to see that start to be brought to life at the end.
Yeah.
As a real thing. Yeah, lovely. I really liked the Oliver Felicity dynamic in this episode, and I liked what they've been doing with Oliver's character. I like the way that we've seen him starting to feel a bit adrift, because like last episode, you could he was all into being the mayor and the sort of cutting off from being the Arrow was working out for him. This week, you see him sort of a little bit lost and not quite knowing where his role is, and wanting to protect Felicity, as he always has done, but actually that causing problems, and then starting to find his feet a little bit. I really liked it. Yeah. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. I like that he was self-aware enough when he started taking over to say, sorry, it's an old habit, I'll leave. Yes. And he did.
Yeah.
And we then follow him because, yes, it's his story.
Yes.
So that's fine. I liked him stepping in to do the Overwatch bit and take control of it. A little bit unbelievable that he could do it, but they did have that line of, you've basically automated this system now.
Yes, yes. No, that was really good. I also really liked the way that he was proud and supportive of Felicity and saying how proud he was of her. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't make it all about him and his feelings. He put her and her feelings to the forefront. Yeah. And I thought that was nice.
Yeah, really well done.
Yeah.
She had a good week of getting to get out and flex and do a few different things, but still playing into her strengths.
Yeah.
He had a really good week of supporting her, and he snuck away from whatever tail he potentially has, which could cause issues in the future. But it does show he's ready to be there to be supportive of her.
Yes.
Yeah. Not just in, like, I support you and yes, you should go and do these things and I'm excited for you. But he knew there was a need for him to go and help in a way that's not going in and beating people up. Having failed doing that thing. Yeah. But
yeah, no, really good. Really good. So, Felicity is now one of the team, doing exciting things, going out in the field a bit.
Yeah.
Are they going to make her learn how to fight and muscle up? Or are we going to allow her to step out of the field? Because, quite frankly, she's actually a liability running around with the rest of them because she can't fight.
Yeah. And she's not going to have a gun.
And she's not going to have a gun.
No.
You know, at least Curtis, they have trained up.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's sort of a bit of a switch hitter.
Yeah.
You know, he can do both. But you also get the impression that he'd rather be in the field.
Mm-hmm. They do have tech that she could use.
Yeah.
So that is the good thing. Certainly the actress has been training. Because he's tweeted stuff about him training with her and them doing things together. So maybe they are building up to that.
Yeah.
I kind of hope not.
Me too.
I think every so often this is good to give us something different to do. But actually, I'm hoping they move her in a different direction away from the team.
And I think they might with this new Helix.
Helix, yes.
Yeah.
Possibly Elena on the team.
Yes, I hope so.
Which would be interesting.
I think she's another interesting, different character. I think she's also a continuation of them trying to make the cast a slightly more younger-leaning cast. Because she's not by far the youngest, because that's Oliver's son. But she is. I think she is of the adults.
Yeah,
she is possibly the youngest.
Possibly so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting, and another girl on the team.
Yes.
Which some of these shows could definitely use.
Yes.
Just a couple of side notes. Great line from Curtis being Olicity's biggest shipper.
Yeah.
Now, having just listened to the Imaginary Worlds podcast episode about fanships, where they talked about Olicity being a fan creation that the showrunners then took away, that was quite nice. I quite like that, the world crossing over with the fictional world. Yeah. There's a referendum in Star City, which, given the way these shows are written, I thought could have gone to a commenting on actual politics or the way politics are done, but they don't seem to have taken that bait. So maybe there will be some fallout from the referendum.
Yeah.
But they kept it in there. But one of the big things this week was the continuation for Black Siren. So she is much more of a thing now. We know who saved her.
Yes.
She has a slightly new look. Well, she had a wig.
I thought the wig looked glorious on her.
Suited her, definitely.
Yeah.
And she still has that terrible power.
Awful. Awful. And really not all that useful. It's a bit of a blunt instrument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think she'd be doing some kind of vocal cord training to try and make it into more of a precision tool, but apparently not.
No. But we also had, finally, the reveal of who Caden James is. And it's Michael Emerson, who was Ben Linus on Lost. One of the great modern villains of a TV show. So.
Excellent.
Good.
I didn't watch Lost.
That's true. I thought you'd watched some of it.
No, nothing, okay. None of it, I'm afraid.
Okay. So interesting to have him in there, and he is working on Arclight.
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem believable that he wanted to shut down the internet, because
that would be his magic powers gone.
Yeah. So that's the big picture stuff, being more introduced, but still not sure of what's coming.
Yes. But
clearly both Flash and Arrow were doing someone behind the scenes manipulating things.
Do you think this is early plotting for whatever their crossover's going to be later in the season?
I don't think so, because they're clearly two different villains. So no, I don't think for the two of them. Supergirl's big picture thing is whatever's going to happen with Sam and that ship becoming released. So that's
that also feels quite separate.
Yeah, that's something that's being introduced, and we've not yet met Malice on Legends Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that could be the thing. But I don't think it's going to be the big villain of any show. It's going to be the crossover.
No. Like it wasn't last season.
No, exactly. It could be some significant event. Maybe even something about the Allen's wedding. Because that's only like 5 weeks now, which would put it about mid-season.
Yes,
which would be a good time for a crossover.
Yeah, no, I think you're very right, because I think with the crossover, you've got to walk a fine line between using it to encourage people to watch the other seasons, but not alienating people who don't want to or don't have the time to watch all 4 shows.
Yeah. Okay. Who had a good week?
I think Cisco had a really good week. Yeah. Cisco had a good week.
Got lucky.
Well, yes, but I thought I think Cisco probably gets lucky more than we know nowadays. Confident Cisco, he's got Gypsy. Let's move on. I thought he showed himself to be confident in his love with Gypsy, respectful of her father, but then strong enough to put his foot down at the end. Good week all round for Cisco. He covered himself with glory.
Do I need to ask who had a bad week?
It's gone beyond a bad week.
Do we stop mentioning Nate in Legends? Do we just ignore him? Or do we try and call him out for the terribleness that he is?
I don't necessarily want to waste any more breath on him. So unless something significant happens with him involved, I think I'm just going to give one more Nate.
Yeah. Perhaps I'll add something to the show notes of yes, Nate is still terrible.
Yeah.
And I'll change it. Oh, we'll set up a Twitter account. Is Nate still terrible in Legend tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes. Best episode of the week?
Flash.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Hit all the points for me. It's got the relationships, it's got a fun plot, it's got new fun characters in there.
Nice.
A, B, C, D, E plot's all entertaining. I love The Flash.
Nice. And Gypsy is Cynthia and her dad is Josh.
Yeah.
Great. Simple jokes, but great.
That was fun.
So that wraps us up for another week. If you have thoughts, questions or comments, you can use the hashtag ATAV on Twitter or find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as Eloquent Gushing. If you want to help support us, please check out our Patreon page where you can get access to exclusive content across all our shows. Go to patreon.com/eloquentgushing and visit our homepage eloquentgushing.com to sign up for the weekly newsletter about goings-on across all the shows. Thanks for listening and we'll see you across the Arrowverse.
Across the Arrowverse is an Eloquent Gushing production. For more shows you'll love, please visit eloquentgushing.com.
Please edit this bit out.
And Gypso and Siski. No? Gypsy and Cisco.